Here we go.
You just say you're going.
All right, welcome to the 19th episode of the How to Build a Black Nation with Power podcast. This podcast is about understanding and bringing together the many pieces of our empowerment and freedom puzzle under one unified umbrella as much as possible to ensure we don't become a permanent underclass in the country that was built on the backs of our ancestors. Taking into consideration what our people have done and what so many are currently doing, our empowerment freedom march is most certainly not starting at square one. My name is Tamani Mwandani. I'm the founder of the Black Gold Nation. I am also a direct product of the Shrine of the Black Madonna's efforts, since 1953 to liberate and save Black people by establishing a nation within this nation. The Black Gold Nation is headquartered in Houston, Texas, which is where I am today. The podcast is titled How to Build a Black Nation with Power because we're trying to get our people to understand that this is most certainly possible if we have the right pieces in place. From the Black Gold Nation's perspective, we believe that we Black people can have a nation within this nation with power if we have three things. Those three things are a strong foundation. We believe we have that because we're based on the foundation of the Shrine. Again, we started in 1953. Strong leadership, which is why we're having this leadership election and why we're talking to these two young brothers this evening. And of course, spirituality. I am not concerned about any other group. I do not know about any other group, but I do know that for us to be successful, Black people, African descendants, we absolutely must understand our spiritual power because that is our superpower. I believe the reason why we've been able to do some of the things we've done historically is because we were operating at a higher spiritual level. So I think we got to understand spirituality, both within ourselves and a higher spiritual power that we can connect to, communicate with, and use to move ourselves forward. So we got to have a strong foundation. We got to have strong and righteous leadership, and we have to have an understanding and usage of spirituality. Otherwise, I do not believe, and those that are helping me build this nation do not believe that we're going to be successful. So three of those areas of leadership, two of those areas we're going to cover this evening. One is political strategy and implementation, and the other one is community development. So tonight's guests are part of our fourth group candidate interview. Brother Michael Brown is a candidate for our political strategy and implementation division, and Brother Lenairis Turner is a candidate for our community development division. And both of those divisions are part of our municipal development department nationally because our goal in the Black Gold Nation is to get our people in a position by which we can run cities. That is our goal. So before we get into our bios, let me first take a few seconds to thank you, brothers, for being here. We've been trying for a minute. I've been trying with the both of you for at least 8 to 12 months, at least, to get you brothers here. And by the grace of God, it finally worked out. I'm going to say that maybe it wasn't time, but the fact that you're here now, you know, I'm gonna roll with it. And I thank you, brothers, for being open and being patient. And we're gonna move forward and build and I'm sure have a dynamic conversation based on what we can do as a collective group to move our people forward and create power for ourselves. So I'm going to read the bios of these two brothers, and then we'll get into the conversation. The first one is Brother Michael Brown's bio. Brother Michael Brown is a 13-year veteran in the development, implementation, and execution of supply diversity programs in the public and private sector. Presently, he serves as a diversity outreach and compliance manager for Horizon International Group, LLC, one of the largest minority and women-owned construction management firms in the greater Houston area. In this capacity, he executes the MWSBE/DBE/HUB programs, pay or play program, federal labor compliance, Section 3 compliance, and drug policy compliance programs for several projects, including the Northwest Water Purification Plant expansion and the Houston Airport Systems International Terminal Redevelopment Program for Horizon. Brother Michael is the co-founder of the Texas Chattel Slavery Reparations Commission and has been advocating for reparations since 2019. He is also a founding member of the National Assembly of African Slavery Descendants, a member of Creative Group Economics, and a board member of Political Advocates for Independent Democracy, PAID. That's Brother Michael Brown's bio. Brother Lenairis Turner's bio. A graduate of West Charlotte Senior High School, class of 01, a two-sport all-state athlete in track and football, and a two-event track All-American, ranking 33rd in the nation in the 300 hurdles and 15th in the nation in the 400 hurdles. Brother Lenairis took a full scholarship to North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, last minute 2-sport scholarship. Shortly after enrolling at NCAT, something happened to him that changed his outlook on life as a Black person in America. He left the university in 2006, came back to Charlotte, North Carolina in 2008, and explored civilian life for 2 years before transferring to the University of North Carolina at Charlotte in 2010, graduating in 2012 at age of 28 with a BA in psychology and a minor in Africana studies. Brother joined the military in 2013, and his contract ended in 2019. He became a blockchain certified developer in February of 2021, and we're actually going to get into that a little bit. Also, Brother Lenairis is also comes out of a very talented gospel singing family. His family produced a gospel album, which he was featured on around the age of 8, and his entire family has embraced singing, but that path was not for him, which is why he went to college and started to do other things, as well as exploring his natural athletic ability in track and football. So before we get into the questions, let me ask you, brothers, first Brother Michael, then Brother Lenairis, is there anything you would like to add that I didn't state in your very brief bios? Brother Michael, you first, and Brother Lenairis. Anything you want to add, Brother Mike?
Yes, just really not so much for the bio, but just thank you for inviting us here, have this discussion. I think it's important that we start having these discussions publicly, because we're at an inflection point with everything that's going on. And I see a lot of people doing a lot of things that's not really benefiting our people.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Amen. Amen. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it, Brother Lenairis.
Oh, sir, I'm at the starting line. I'm ready to go.
Cool. All right. So let's get with the first question. Question number 1, and this is for both of you. Brother Michael, you answer first, then Brother Lenairis. Excuse me. What are you most passionate about? That's the first question. What are you most passionate about? Brother Mike, you first.
Collectively, empowerment for our people, not doing some of the silly things that we're doing, applied knowledge, not just acquiring knowledge just to acquire it, but applying it. Applied knowledge is power. So that's what I'm passionate about, because I think as we get more people on board to what we're doing, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Sure. And I'm glad you said that, brother, because people say all the time that knowledge is power, and I correct them, because just having the knowledge and not using it is not power. Knowledge becomes powerful when you use it. So we have to use that knowledge, otherwise we just have it. And that's one of the issues that I have with our people, because we love to talk about what we've done in the past. And I say, if we're not trying to rebuild some more pyramids, then let's tamper down that conversation, because it's something that somebody else did. Let's build our own pyramids so that our kids can talk about it. So I agree with you on that point, brother, 100%. Okay, Brother Lenairis, what are you most passionate about, brother?
Man, to be quite honest, man, bringing an awareness to our baby boomer generation. Bringing an awareness concerning the economic dilemma that they are in, and how dynamic the transition or the transformation is going to be for our future, and what that means for their current standard of living. Is our from a technological standpoint, we have always been left out of a lot of different things, and this technology transition since the .com burst, our community has not even understood what that was. So when you look at what this transition is, it is imperative that our elders, because they care about their coins, they care about it. They seen the silver dollar go from an actual silver dollar to being as debased as it is today. They seen it. And I remember back in 2007, my grandmother sold all of her silver dollars, and she didn't realize that they actually had silver in them. She didn't even get it. So she sold them at face value. So this is, our elders do not understand the economy, and they don't understand what the politics of economics means to their position. as underclass. If they don't get it, we will definitely be that permanent underclass that Dr. Clyde Anderson speaks so fervently about and what you have spoken about. So my passion is actually in that space right now to get them to get it.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. Next question. What do you think the greatest problem facing our people today is, and how can your expertise help with that problem? Brother Lenairis, you first, and I think you've already answered it, but I got to ask because it's on my list. And then Brother Mike, what do you think the greatest problem facing our people today is, and how can your expertise help with that problem?
Well, shit, man, that's our look here. We
you can't even get it out.
Nah, we have been so dependent on this nation for everything,
yes,
from
sir.
welfare to hoping that when you go to the grocery store, they have the lima beans that you're looking for. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you're hoping for that. And so right now you're looking at a complete shutdown of a system that has told you that you should depend on it. The biggest issue that we have today is not being prepared for what that rug pull looks like.
Yep.
Outside of our miseducation, outside of the indoctrination, like the most significant thing, like you go to work to be able to take care of those things, just so you can turn around and give it to somebody that's going to suck that economic energy out of your community and not even give you a fair chance. Let me say this, not even give the younger generations who wasn't taught of financial literacy, once they wake up, they be so far behind from a credit standpoint to where they can't even jump back into the game legitimately. So in order to see that as a problem, there has to be a solution. And the only solution I see today in terms of my expertise is to bring to them a knowledge of a blockchain economic transition or redefining of wealth so that they can begin to put themselves in a position right now. Man, this kind of feel like we trying to run for president. And my campaign is called presidential leadership. But that is literally, that's what we need to be doing. And with what I do, what I'm bringing to the table, I can do it by myself, but you can't go alone. We didn't come into this by ourselves, and we're not going to leave out of this by ourselves.
Right. Right. Now, let me ask you a question real quick, a follow-up question to that, Lenairis. Do you think, because you said baby boomers, and when you said that, in my head, I was thinking millennials, then I said, okay, well, that's not what he said. So you said baby boomers. Do you think that baby boomers are ready for that kind of new information, ready to hear it, ready to receive it, ready to accept it and start using it?
Well, I say this, on my mother's side, I'm pretty sure on my mother's side of the family, there is a white bloodline because her great-great-grandmother was raped by her, I guess, by the sharecropper that owned their land. Mm-hmm. And so that produced some light-skinned folks in my family who happens to have European blood in them. So maybe they're ready, but our community, when it comes to them, our elders, our baby boomers, when it comes to them being able to grasp the severity of the technology, because I don't think that they take it serious enough. When it comes to them being able to grasp it, I don't think that they would be able to, which is why when you say, you thought I was going to say the millennials, which is why it's important for them to understand the task that's on their hands. Mm-hmm. Because you can't depend on Elon Musk or Michael Saylor or Robert Kiyosaki to come into your community and provide this technology to you. Right. They're not about to help you develop it. They're not doing that for you. So that's why Black Gold Nation is doing what it's doing, to bring a solution to a community who needs to learn how to trust themselves again. So it's not that our elders, it's not the fact they are not ready because they're too far away from learning something new, but they have to know that they can trust us. They have to know that. And so now we are a bridge. We are a bridge to a generation who doesn't have elders that they can point to for solutions. And when we come through and give them the solution, we know that they can go and talk to their elders about this transition, and we can show them a working model of why it's successful. You know, them baby boomers grew up in an era where there was no television. They literally went from radios to television, black and white television, mm-hmm. television going off at a certain period, to color television. So for them, they are captivated by the indoctrination.
Hell, I remember that.
Listen to that. So that's so with my expertise, because let me dial it back in with what I do, I can give everybody the template that needs to be duplicated, especially with people who already have existing organizations. Current people that have current nonprofits, they need to be setting up DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations right now. And this is the way that you fund the whatever you're doing right now to help your community. This is how you do it. And this is how you integrate or introduce adoption, by giving free currency.
So do you think those baby boomers who have some European blood in them, you think they are more receptive to those that do not because of that European blood?
Oh, no. So that I was actually being very, very facetious.
Okay. Let me know, because I didn't know.
What I was saying is I'm pretty sure that my family, jokingly, because you got to think about it, man, when it comes to the baby boomers, is I mean, some stats I have seen have shown that European Americans have adopted technology at a faster rate than the Black community elders have. That's just, and I guess that would be a product of economics and resources in your community, and seeing and understanding if computer technology or that type of technology is even important in your everyday life until it's given to you through cell phones. So our elders have been disadvantaged completely when it comes to being prepared for this moment. I would definitely say that more elder Caucasian individuals are ready, besides the poor ones, but the ones that I talk to, they have a good grasp of computer technology.
Yeah, and I would say that those elder Caucasians have a more readiness for it, because they have a better understanding of relationship with money than we do, and wealth, and that's because of course because of what we've been through, what's been taken from us, and what's been done to us. Cool. Yeah. Okay, Brother Mike, I apologize for those extra questions. So you're fine. What do you think the greatest problem facing our people today is, and how can your expertise help with that problem?
My answer is going to be a little different.
As it should be.
Right. So from what I've seen, number one, a lack of education, specifically for me, political education.
That's right.
I will say number two, well, one B would be not looking at our condition wholly. Mm-hmm. I think we have a situation where we, globally it's the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
And within the Black community, it's the same thing. You have those that have been able to prosper off of athletic talent, entertainment talent, their parents, wealth and political clout, so to speak, social clout. And some that were able to enter into the industry where they were very much needed, right?
Okay.
But when you look at wealth disparity, right? Yeah. You've got the majority of the wealth held by, what is it, the top 5-10% of Black Americans.
Yep.
And the rest of the group is lagging behind greatly.
Struggling to survive.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And, we can talk about, spending habits, discretionary income, things of that nature. But even factor in for that, you would still lag way behind.
Sure.
For their white counterparts.
Yep.
And which is, you can directly tie that to our history in this country.
Yeah.
And like you said in the intro, we built this nation.
That's
we
right.
did.
That's right.
And so not getting too far off course, but this country owes us.
Big time.
And we have to position ourselves in the greatest position possible to get what's owed to us. And so I tie those two together by saying we need a civics education, probably that they never have gotten in high school or college.
Ain't no probably. Ain't no problem.
And whereas Brother Lenairis is focusing on the baby boomers and the older generation, I'm focusing more on the youth because just in my personal conversations within my family, I see the indoctrination. They're not gonna turn off MSNBC. You know, they're gonna get excited anytime something comes down because you know Black people have gotten to this attitude that they're Democrat first instead of being Black first.
That's right.
Or they're Republican first instead of being Black first. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and not realizing that you know two wings of the same bird.
Sure.
You know, and at the end of the day, you're always on the menu. You're not at the table. You're always on the menu.
Right.
You know, that is your seat at the table on the dinner plate.
And that's why we have paid, right?
Yeah. And so that 1A is political education and B is getting our people to collectively see what the issue is and moving towards it. You know, as many as possible.
Okay, cool. And his name is pronounced Lenairis.
Oh, Lenairis.
Yeah, it's different. And it's okay. It's different. It's Lenairis. So just remember, you know, like leaning back, Lenairis. Oh, so we're gonna have it covered. Brother Lenairis is going to focus on the baby boomers. You're going to focus on the younger generation, and I'm the millennial. So we got all the generations covered.
Let me actually correct that. It's not that I'm focused on the older generation. Nah, I have some content that I put. The very first piece of content that I actually put out in 2020, right before the COVID crash hit. The first thing that I said was that young Black men between the ages of 18 and 35 are going to be the most drastically affected by this economic shift. I mean, our unemployment numbers are already sky high.
That's right.
They're already there. And so the reality is that I think sometimes we get too heavy headed on one end of a scaling or a sliding scale. We have to remember balance, because it's no matter how it goes, if you have been taken out of the indoctrination process, if you've been awakened to what the matrix is and what it has done to you, if you want to use that analogy, you have to realize that when we go to college, we have a responsibility to our family first, period. And when growing up in the South, man, when you're forced to go to church, you're forced to go to church, you're forced to sing, guess what? I'm about to force you to sit down and understand what this transition is, because you used to make me have to literally sit there and cry and go to church with silly shoes on and listen to y'all talk about something that y'all didn't even know that y'all didn't understand. And now it's like, hold on, we are living at a moment that looks like that. So, hey man, I don't think that y'all understand, or y'all are not listening, right? So listen here, we're going to take our time and ensure that the youth, man, understand this technology is so powerful to the point where if we could give jobs from Black Gold, we could be paying the youth in cryptocurrency tomorrow. That's right. You understand? And so I just want to say, I'm not just focused on them elders. This is a holistic rebirth.
Well, good. Amen. We cast a wide net. All right, Brother Lenairis, next question is for you. As a candidate for the National Community Development Division, how can you help Black Gold Nation in its efforts to build a new culture for our people locally and then nationally? As a candidate for the National Community Development Division, how can you help us get our people to understand the importance of building a new culture both locally and nationally?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing, I am doing right now. I broke ground on my garden at the beginning of April. And with the effort, with the mindset of pushing a new walk, meaning that when you are a gardener, you have to reorder your daily steps. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of attention that is required of your plants and the soil and the currency that goes into ensuring that you can make sure that it stays up and feeds you. And so the culture coming from a position of leadership, if you want to say, through an organization, being able to change the way in which we view our daily activity in a society where we already are a independent nation has already changed the culture that was forced on us, because we're waking up to our higher self today. And it's happening collectively, even with the youth. I just gave a young man a ride to the other side of my city yesterday. He was standing outside of a smoke shop and he was selling CDs. He had CDs, man. Like, I ain't seen a CD being sold. I can't even play CDs on my computer for some reason. Because of the newness of technology, it doesn't even come with that capability no more. You got to download another driver.
That's right.
And so looking at that, I realized that in his mind, he doesn't even know that the tide has changed. So culturally speaking, if no one is walking it on a daily basis, if you're not wearing, look at here, if you're not, I say it this way, if you're not wearing leadership on a daily basis in order to be the example of change that needs to be had or taken in your community, then it would never take hold. Then we're just talking. Then we're looking like the elected officials who you don't never see, but you see their advertisement in your yard when you wake up in the morning. How that get there? You understand? And so how I could affect change culturally through Black Gold is literally by doing what I'm already doing. No matter how it goes, I'm still going to continue to move forward, because there's a lot of people that know that they need to take back their own power today. A lot of people are into gardening today. A lot of people are trying to get into it. A lot of people want to protect themselves, and in the same breath, they want to be able to make sure that they can take care of these youth.
Right.
And so I'm actually out doing that part. I haven't affiliated or associated myself with organizations that wants to do the same thing. And I'm starting to realize that it's because when I come through and I see everybody that's from my city who have nonprofits and they remember me, now they see a leader coming back into a community where he has been missing. And so when I open up my mouth, it's almost as if everybody has to take a step back, because they have literally they have wore the attire of, I'm a nonprofit organizer in my community, give me high five. And it's like, if this is the reason why you're doing what you're doing, then you're never going to affect the real change,
right,
to the segment of our community who has been completely disenfranchised.
Yeah, they need it most.
That right, because if you're in the suburbs, hey man, that's not who you really talking to.
Right. Okay, cool, appreciate it. Okay, Brother Mike, do you think that culture can effectively be built without including politics?
No. Quite simply, politics is kind of a reaction of the culture, right? So if people are paying attention to issues that are not related to the Black community's empowerment, and people are reacting to it, then the politicians are going to continue to push that message, right? And so we need to center ourselves and say, hey, everything that we're doing is for our community first.
Right.
If it's not positively affecting our community, we need to throw that away. We've got too many negative issues that's going on right now that Black people are reacting to and trying to, and the politicians are trying to mobilize around those, right? And it's like, that's to me, that's not going to motivate me to get to the polls,
right.
Okay. But for the regular person that's still in the matrix, that will motivate them. They were like, yeah, I need to do that. We had a whole shooting in Ohio yesterday, and we had a Black sister up there saying that basically it was Black males' fault because we're not going out to vote. She didn't provide a reason to go out to vote.
You just left it hanging.
Last time I checked, Akron is a Democrat-led city. Right.
Yeah.
And the shooting still happened because we've got white supremacists within the police department.
Yeah.
And we've got
benign neglect.
Yeah.
Benign neglect. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And we've got a government that has no problem funding these police departments to come out and kill us, And you know, of course, we've got our own issues internally, you know, with crime amongst each other, but other communities have that too, right? You know, crimes of poverty, you know, or you know, gang violence that goes across communities, you know. So we've got to educate our folks, right, and center them and say, hey, now is the time to be self-interested, right? Now is the time to break away from this, you know, we are the world mindset that a lot of our folks are having, and recognize that, hey, these people are against us. You know, and these issues that you're voting for and whatnot are against us. So we've got to come in together and focus on our culture first. And yes, political education is absolutely a foundation for that.
Yeah, we gotta understand that it's time to circle the wagons. It's time to get selfish. It's time to start worrying about everybody else. Put our own Black selves first. Because, you know, as I always say, and I'm sure you brothers will agree, ain't nobody coming to save Black people. So we will certainly need to save ourselves. Okay, next question is also for you, Brother Mike. Where should we start, given what you just said? Where should we start? What should be our first steps to mobilizing and organizing Black people on a local level and then expanding out?
First step number one is within your home, right?
Okay.
Affecting the people that's around you. You've got to get those people, you know, together and say, hey, this is the game plan going forward, right? And then you expand outward from there. And obviously, you know, you just can't concentrate on your family, but those are the people that you're going to have close contact with. And then you branch out from there, whether that be going to, you know, community meetings, you know, buy Black shops and marketplaces. You know, if the power is within you, you know, running for city council, right, or running for school board, or running for, you know, you name the political position, because we're not in most of those, right?
That's right.
And those positions, you know, believe it or not, really affect what you're doing locally, you know, way more than what's going on nationally. And so we definitely have to take a local approach. We've got stuff coming down the pipeline that's scary. You know, we've got people that's trying to rename slavery into involuntary movement or whatever. You know, you just we've sat on the sidelines too long.
That's right.
And so we've got to penetrate these places as much as we can. So yes, it starts with the family first, and then going outward for me.
That's a good segue to the next question. What you just said about the things that are coming down the pipe. Are there any particular hot button political items that you think we should be targeting ourselves to vote for and or against right now moving forward? Are there any particular hot button issues that Brother Mike thinks Black people need to be paying attention
to? Locally, yes. Locally, we have a city council, you know, elections coming up. We're going to have a new mayor for the city of Houston. On a statewide level, you know, we've got a Department of Education trying to rename it and basically erase our history. Just for white fragility, basically. To make white kids feel better about themselves, instead of acknowledging that, yeah, this is what your ancestors did.
Right. And you benefited from that.
Yeah. And you benefit to this day because of this, you know. Nationwide, you know, nationwide. Who knows, you know. I'm not motivated by the recent hot button issue that came out of the Supreme Court. I'm more looking at the Miranda laws that you know, cops now don't have to read you your Miranda rights, right? So Black people, we already know we don't have any rights once a police officer stops us.
That's right.
Now they can legally detain us, not read the Miranda rights, question you and badge you, and try to get you to confess to something. And your only recourse is that you hope it gets thrown out in court. To me, that affects Black people way more than some of these other issues, right? And so the other party hasn't really presented a plan or hasn't even talked about it. They made a passing glance at it, and so we have to come together and say, okay, what are we going to do about this issue, right? Neither party is serving us. There's talks about doing a third party. I can't tell you what to vote for. But I can tell you that these issues don't happen in a vacuum. They're going to affect you.
Oh, sure.
Gas prices, food shortages, all these things affect you, and all these things are things that should be being solved or should be talked about politically. But unfortunately, they're not.
And they're all political issues.
They're political issues. Everything in your life is political.
That's right.
Unfortunately.
So when people say I don't do politics, it's really funny to me because I like, like Brother Lloyd says it. You may not do politics, but politics is gonna do you.
Absolutely.
You better get hip. And let me ask you, Brother Mike, because I didn't know about the Miranda rights thing. But like you said, there's so many things happening. You said, who knows? And this is not one of my questions, but since you brought that up, it just made me think, okay, so how can we keep our focus on issues that are going to affect us both locally, not both, but locally on a state level and nationally? Is there some sort of database that Black people need to go to, or that we need to build so that we know what's coming and how it's going to affect us and who it's going to affect? I mean, if we don't have that kind of thing, that sounds like a good thing we need to start working on.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good idea. There's YouTube University. Honestly,
it works.
it works. There's so much going on. I would tell you, articles, reading the articles, not so much paying attention to what's coming on TV, because we know that's propaganda.
That's a distraction.
Even the written articles is propaganda. So we would have to teach our people how to cipher through the BS to get to the real meat of the problem, and then understand how that is going to affect you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so that's part of the political education. But yes, to your point, that would be beneficial. There's some government resources out there. But just kind of paying attention. We know the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court goes out for their recess on the summer. So all of their rulings come out, around this time. So telling Black people, say, hey, Supreme Court, we know it's a conservative Supreme Court, they're more outward with their white supremacy. So we need to pay attention to what rulings are coming out of pipeline that's going to affect you, right? And so you need to keep an eye on it. When it comes out, we can discuss it, read it together, and say, okay, how is this issue going to affect you? Well, I hope you don't get stopped by the cops and don't have any reason for them to. Of course, they don't need a reason; they're going to do it anyway. But don't give them any additional reason to search your vehicle or anything like that, because we're going to have more situations like the situation in Akron, unfortunately.
Amen. So Brother Lenairis, as a candidate to help us organize our people on a local level, and I agree with Brother Mike, we do need to get our people to pay attention and read and know what's what. But that sounds great, but we know it ain't gonna happen that way. So Brother Lenairis, how can we organize ourselves locally to maybe create some sort of filtering or sifting mechanism where those of us who do read, those of us who aren't afraid to do the research, we can do the national search of whatever, and then try and find a way to filter that stuff down. So Brother Lenairis, how would you, and I know this is on the spot, but that's what it is. That's the kind of questions I got to ask. How would you do that, brother, to take what Brother Mike just said about these national things that are going to affect us locally? How can you help us organize ourselves so that we know what's coming so we can prepare our people for it?
First, I'm like you said, it might not happen that way. I'm gonna be 100% honest. Being that everybody still has a US dollar on their mind, you ain't gonna be able to do it because you don't got enough money.
Okay.
You ain't got enough money to exact the type of make the type of change immediately that is needed right now. Like from a dollar standpoint, we can't do it. Because everybody still has to do what they're doing every day. Everybody is either hustling, trying to make a dollar, man. They working a job and then hopping on Uber when they get home. Mm-hmm. People pulling 12-hour shifts. We're talking about individuals who have been knocked out of jobs because of what COVID was. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And trying to figure out how to get back involved, but at the same time still believe in a dream that is deferred already.
Yeah. So you're saying we're too busy trying to survive to focus on the bigger picture. Is that what you're saying, brother?
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. Now look at this. You see, like the brother said, Brother Brown, and that's ironic, Michael Brown. But Brother Brown spoke about the income inequalities in our community based on status and positions that people have acquired without needing to be a scholar. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to be a scholar to be no football player, basketball player, or to be LeBron James, man. And so when to really pull the gamut like we need, you would need the type of appeal that comes from individuals that have the ignorant pool, or you think about this. People are good statisticians when it comes to sports. Like people can talk about sports numbers all day.
That's right.
But you don't seem to understand how the stats of the economic system is so far out of this atmosphere to where when you look at it on paper, it's like, how do you pay this down? How do you live in a society that has given you so much welfare? You know what I mean? I was listening to Dr. Claude recently, just yesterday, and Dr. Claude was talking about how the Black community is I believe he said 68 to 78% of us work for the government in some capacity. And he spoke about, you know, from the teachers all the way up to just working at your local in your local courthouse to being in the military. Okay. But one thing he didn't speak about was the people that's on welfare. Not to say he not aware of it, but to say that it wasn't when you're receiving a subsidy, you're not employed. But technically, if you look at what it is that the requirements are in order to maintain your welfare or your assistance, it's actually a job. Mm-hmm. And so our people are so dependent on a system that has its attention to the point where if we wanted to organize, we have to do something that would be so radical that they would have to say, he must have knew Nipsey Hussle, because you have to have a certain appeal for a certain community, but you also have to have the ability to make something, bring something out of nothing, kind of like what crypto does. You got to be able to take something out of nothing and make it materialize in the minds of people. Look at what Tyler Perry did with Medea. Mm-hmm. Look, I'm talking about going on the Chitlin circuit and getting, you know what I'm saying, the type of support he had, just like how they had those the same type. I remember they had I remember they had plays just like that back in the day. Mm-hmm. I forget the names, but it was the same concept. Okay. We can't be afraid to do what a Dick Gregory has done.
That's right.
Because that's how you get the minds of the elders. The elders are looking for that level of engagement. Mm-hmm. That's what they're looking for. So I would say, from a local standpoint, man, you know, we have to do something radical. And I'm with the radical right now. Like I'm with the I ain't saying I would go and shut down the highway, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's to that extent, because one of the things that the community needs to know about today, as my brother Brown was saying, the Miranda right conversation and understanding, just having political education in general is hyper important. My family ain't got none of that. they still disenfranchised. And when I try to pretend like I know something, the first thing they do is we ain't listening, you don't know what you're talking about. And then 6 months later, they see it on the television. Like, okay, so he knew what he was talking about. So with that said, one of the most
relate, Mike.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So in saying that, another thing that should be on all of our minds today is the transition to a central bank digital currency. This here is the most unconstitutional action I think a government could allow for an entity that's not even a governing body to even commit. And being that our people don't really understand how important currency or dollars are to them on a daily basis, but they always want it, we need to really understand what that allowing for this is a conversation that we're not even a part of, the CBDC conversation. We're not a part of that conversation. And I understand that it's intended for us to not get that, because if they can pull this one off while we are focused on trying to build community due to all of the miseducation that they have given us, due to all of the red tape, due to the black codes, everything that has set us back. If we're staying stuck on the things that we should have received, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be standing up for it. What I'm saying is that the precipice now, the importance is on understanding that particular motive, because if they pull off a CBDC, then the reparations is something that you can just count out. And the reason why I say that is because the depth of paper currency and transitioning that into a CBDC shows that the United States has lost.
What is a CB?
It's a central bank digital currency. So the central bank digital currency that
CBDC.
Say that again.
You said CBDC, central bank digital currency. Okay,
that's correct.
Okay,
that is correct. Go ahead. That is correct. And so the federal, so so as early as the first quarter of 2023, the Federal Reserve is saying they want to go ahead and turn on the switch for the Fed coin. So when you look at what has taken place since the stock market crash in 2020, and you look at the policies that the Federal Reserve has implemented without talking to you about it, like zero reserve requirement right now in bank depositories. Like, we don't get what that means because we're not talking about it clearly, because everybody is stuck on relationships between black men and black women. Everybody is stuck on sex. Everybody's, look, I'm gonna tell you this, and I just want to share this. I know that the Roe v. Wade discussion, or this repeal, or this undoing of something that is so significant to women's reproductive rights, I get the anguish that people have, but I would have to say this. One thing that we need to pay attention to is that Roe v. Wade actually gives power back to the states to make decisions on a local level that could be way impactful. When you look at the overreach that the federal government has on individual states right now, you kind of are dependent on a system to always bail you out as a people. Now, we need that Federal Reserve System, because when you're dealing with clashes on a local level with individuals with diverging outlooks on what life is and what politics should be, how that should be handled, even when you're talking about our community having to be forced to live amongst people that want to see you not prosper, you have to begin to realize that to take that particular legislation away, it gives us the opportunity to really affect change in the mindsets of people who might have a religious motivation behind why they should that Roe v. Wade should still be in place. Not saying that it shouldn't be, but I'm saying that let's look at the power that it gives back to the states. And so from a political standpoint, political education, our people don't compute that part, because they jumped on the bandwagon and everybody has a feeling about them changing this law. So I feel this way, but what do you know about what that really just done to free up some room for you to begin to, if you're a leader, if you are educated today, think about what that just done for your ability to become that leader in your community, so that people can start waking up. So we have to do something very radical, man. It has to be hyper radical. It has to be.
And I think you hit on a valid point in that you said if we're so focused now on what's been done and what's old, and we're not focused on the changes that are coming, then we're gonna find ourselves in a bad spot. And I say to people all the time, when Black people say we got to do politics first, and no, we got to do spirituality, no, we got to do business, no, we got to do I don't know, agriculture. I say everybody's wrong, because we don't have the luxury of doing anything first. We got to do this stuff simultaneously.
Exactly.
And we have to focus on what we owed and find a way to get it, because they're never going to give it to you. But you got to mobilize and organize to get it.
That's right.
Because that's important. But we have to also simultaneously focus on this CBDC, which is the future and is coming. So we can't, and then we still got to eat. We still got to protect ourselves. We still got to connect with other Black people. So we can't afford, we don't have the luxury of one problem at a time. We got to do this stuff simultaneously, which is the whole point of the leadership election, because we got to find Black people who know what they're doing in these specific areas, because we're being attacked on multiple fronts and we're losing on all those fronts, right? So that's the importance of understanding that we have a simultaneous, multi-dimensional, I ain't even got to the spiritual part, the multi-dimensional issues that we got to deal with. And of course, no one can do that. So next question is for you, Brother Lenairis. And I'm glad you mentioned the part about how we think and how we're so focused on what we owe that we're not paying attention to what's coming. This taps into the artist side of you. Next question. Given your background in gospel music, how would you couple, if at all, your experience in the arts, singing gospel music? How would you say your experience in the arts, if at all, can help Brother Michael's political strategy become a reality? So Brother Michael saying we got to start locally with our family and build out as an artist, as someone who came up in the arts. Do you think that could help you, help him with that strategy, or not at all?
Of course, it has to be a help, man. We wouldn't be doing this for nothing. But that's a good question for me.
I know.
Wow, man. That right there is like, let me really know what you're doing. Let me find out for real. You know,
and it's okay to say I don't know.
Nah, I'm gonna start right here, because wow, money brings everybody out, right? Okay. We have right now, let's look at it this way. Right now, there is a segment of the cryptocurrency space called the NFT space, the non-fungible token space.
That's right.
Now, this non-fungible token space, it gives an artist, let's say an artist, it gives an artist the opportunity to create an entire campaign behind one piece of digital non-fungible token that could become so rare if you promote the idea correct, in order to get people to begin to adopt what this technology does for their economic freedom. So to speak from to go into a local environment, now how do you grab the attention of individuals? Well, they got ads out here. You can do ad placement on whatever platforms you're on, right? Now let's say that you incentivize everybody's attention by rewarding them with an NFT that has the legacy foundation of Black Gold logo, whatever that could be, as the reward that could be exchanged for future currency as the growth of this nation's ability to reach the minds of people who need to understand that they need to redirect their attention today. Like, I need you to change your attention right now from what you're looking at right now on the media. I need you to stop looking at what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. I need you to quit thinking that when they talk about the economy, that they're talking about your economy, because clearly it ain't yours.
Say that.
You know, the platforms that you have on the blockchain gives us an ability to incentivize the attention to come away from where they at. So from an artistry standpoint, man, I have a testimony now that has nothing to do with Black Gold Nation, but Black Gold Nation has everything to do with the need for me to believe that I was set on this route or this path for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm building. I'm building that. So the connection with Brother Brown, man, we would have to touch down and really, you know, go ahead and make moves, because this like we are right now, we could really rock and roll. Like I'm calling this summer Economic Liberation Summer, but I think I'm gonna drop the economic and just call it Liberation Summer, because I don't want people to be overly pressed for riches and fame. Like I don't want you to be, you got to realize that you are the wealth, you being the welfare. That's why they put you in, that's why you was a slave class, because you was the wealth.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I mean, I don't know if I answered that question, but let's say I don't know.
All right. Amen. Amen. And again, the question is designed to make you think in ways that you weren't prepared to think. But I've seen both of you brothers answer questions on the spot. So I appreciate and I am quite enamored by Black intellect. So I ask these questions because I like to see how your brain's gonna work. Here's another one for you, Brother Lenairis. How do you think your background as a nationally recognized athlete in 2 sports, how do you think that's going to help you perform your duties to help organize Black communities nationwide if you win this thing?
So to stay inside of the concept of being an athlete, I don't think that it helps me at all. Okay. Actually, I think that it would do more harm than anything for me to even lead with that. You understand? That's just because of the growth that I've gone through. I should have really been in the Olympics, or I should have really been a professional athlete. And so when I see today, the attempt of athletes, the attempt to make it seem like they have a grasp on the struggle. You say it as simple as that, because it's race is a hard topic to break down if you've never gone through a revisionist, Africana studied, Pan-Africanist, please don't be afraid to question the Bible education. Yeah. So for them, when I see it, I wouldn't put myself in that category, because I know that their lack of knowing is something that they are unaware of. And at this moment in my life, I have grown from that, but I know what that's like. I know what it's like to challenge another man. Man, I'm only 5'7", and I got hate because of my height, and I was still able to outperform those who was twice as big as I. You understand? And so, in saying that, today, men have to be taken to task in terms of their intellectual immaturity, and be made aware of that. And as an athlete, you're limited still, because that's what you know, that's what you're known by. You're known because of this. And so you're going to try to do something or say something that is out of your realm. That's right. And when you do, if you do have the ability to articulate something like a Myron Rowe did, if you do have the opportunity to do that, then the community might judge you as, oh, that person speaks too proper, or that person think they're a know-it-all. So the athletic limitation is something that I would never even, I'm not going to tell no one else about that now.
What I hear you saying, brother, I am interpreting what you're saying a bit differently. I hear what you're saying, but my takeaway is you can most certainly use what you've been blessed to be a part of, being an athlete at a high level in 2 sports, like you just said, because you understand where they are and you're no longer there because you've graduated beyond that, then you can help them move from where they are, because you know what it's like to work physically in 2 sports, 33rd in the nation ranked. So you know about the sweat. You know about the physical.
You put more on me than I'm asking for.
I'm just saying, brother, that's how I received your answer. I heard you, but I am saying, because you were in one world, right, and you went through some stuff, now you're in a different world, you still understand the world you came from.
That's right.
That makes you a bridge. Next question for Brother Mike. Okay, Brother Mike, As an outreach and compliance manager for an international organization, do you think that experience has prepared you to lead an international organization's political and implementation strategy? So you work for a company that's international. We have to get to the point that our political moves are also, as you already said, locally, got to start local. That's where we at. But we also have to expand this thing to be more than just in America. So do you think your experience working where you work, doing what you do, and doing what you have done has given you some experience to help do that kind of work in Black Gold Nation, because we got to be global?
I want to say yes and no.
Okay.
The no part is obviously we're going to be doing something that on a larger scale hasn't been done before.
Yes, sir. No doubt.
So there's going to be learning curves,
hiccups,
and things like that. Yeah, hiccups and everything. And so like you said earlier, we don't have the luxury of finding, going out and finding the ideal candidate that has all of the qualifications and been doing this before. Our condition is too dire, and so we've got to run with the team that's put together.
Yes, sir.
I have some experience. I say I have, the foresight to see everything that's coming, down the pipeline. Nope.
That's right.
I don't.
Yeah. Honesty is a good thing, brother.
Yeah. But to be honest with you, I think we're at a point of no return, right? As a people.
Mm-hmm.
So
you say it again, Mike. I didn't hear you.
We're at a point of no return.
No return. Okay, no return.
No return. And I'm gonna be honest with you, not just Black people in the US, but globally. We see the videos of what they're doing. And so we have opportunity to capture some folks that are going amongst their awakening as well.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that some folks are just going to stay asleep, right?
Yes, sir. No doubt.
Locally, nationally, internationally.
No matter what we do.
Yeah.
Negroes won't wake up.
Yeah. And we don't need the whole collective to do that.
That's right. And we're not looking. We're not looking for them. Yeah.
We ain't looking for them. Yeah. So, I hope that answers your question.
Oh yeah.
I don't frequently get on international calls.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on some, mobilizing and whatnot. But I will say this. Like I said, we're at a point of no return.
Yeah.
And so, even our political candidates that are running or whatnot,
mm-hmm.
Trying to replace the establishment ones, they're not going to be a perfect candidate. They're not going to be a perfect person.
Yeah.
But we've got to first make the attempt, and raise the perfect candidate. Right.
Sure. Oh yeah, no doubt. That's why our youth program has to be on point.
Right.
Because we're going to have to raise the kind of people that we need, like you just said, because they may not exist. So we're going to have to have an understanding of what we need, and then put ourselves in a position to raise that kind of new African child. And all of that is a part of Black Gold Nation, because we got to make sure that we put our kids in a position where white people can't get to them. If you can't get to them, you can't corrupt them with your system. And that's simply a must do. So this next question, Brother Mike, is going to be, I won't say equally as hard, but maybe a bit harder. One of my goals for this year is to have at least one representative from each African country, part of Black Gold Nation. We have about 27 representatives right now from 27 different countries, and a few outside America and Africa. So they want to be a part of what we're doing, but I'm not 100% certain as to how they can do that, because I don't understand their political structure. By the grace of God, we have a brother who has helped me better understand this political system. It's a global system, but he's helped me understand how we can maneuver in America and control some stuff. But I'm not sure if we can do the same thing elsewhere, because I don't know how this system works. I know globally it's all white supremacy, but elections in Africa, I do not know. So the question, brother, is, have you thought about, and this is a yes or no question, how you're going to connect, strategize, and work with people who look like you and I, think like you and I, but don't live in America? How are we going to connect with them and work with them to continue to move this thing forward? And again, maybe you never thought about it, but if you haven't, it's coming. It may already be here.
So, you know, honestly, a lot of these conversations have actually kind of been happening, you know, online.
Sure.
You know, social media has, you know, brought a lot of people together that wouldn't normally probably talk.
Agreed. Agreed.
You know, and so I haven't had extensive thoughts about that.
Okay.
I think the understanding of the different issues around the world, that I think we can all relate, they have one pressure point, right? Sure. One entity that's doing this.
That's right.
And so if they understand that the enemy is, you know,
sure,
this person and not me, you know,
and we can make things happen. Yeah.
And we can make some things happen. And if we can agree that, you know, the agenda here is such and such and so, and I'm gonna support you 100%, and whatever you got going on there that you feel is a pressing need and you need our support.
That's right.
Then yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely.
And when I say to that, brother Mike, I say same white boy, different accent, because they're cousins.
Right.
So
right.
As long as we understand that, you know, whatever they're trying to do is against us, and I'm not your enemy.
Right.
And if we can come to that understanding, and what I tell people, I said, if we can get you to agree on 3 things in Black Gold Nation, we're trying to get you to agree on 3 things, and if we can agree on those 3 things, then everything else we might disagree on, because there's going to be disagreements. We can work on that. But if we can't agree on those 3 things, then we can't work together at all. And those 3 things are: we are Black, we are oppressed, and we seek to end this oppression. And if you don't like the word Black, I don't care if you use Black, ADOS, FBA, Alpha and Omega, Descendants of Africa, Hebrew, same people, Native American, same people. I don't care what you call it. But we have to agree that we're the same people. So if we can agree we're the same people, we got some issues, and we want these issues to go away. Anything else, you got a degree, I don't have a degree. You got somebody in your family that's married a white person and I don't. You got more money in the bank than I got. Okay, we can talk about it. We can discuss it. But we gotta agree we're the same people. We got some issues, and we want these issues to go away. Because if we don't agree on those 3 things, we can't work together. So we can come to that kind of consensus. Then politically, locally, statewide, nationally, and internationally, we can make some things happen.
And by the way, you know, the same white boy with a different accent.
That's right.
They're on code right now.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
They're practicing pan-Europeanism, right? Sure. Yeah. You know, because we have no business sending money and weapons and all that to Ukraine to fight a war that they're gonna lose anyway, right?
It's like Brother Lenairis said, I don't even know why we're worried about it.
Why Black people worried about it? You know what I'm saying? We've got billboards
because of MSNBC.
Yeah. You know, it's just nonsense, you know, and that doesn't affect us. And oh, by the way, you know, both countries are practicing their racism as well.
Their white supremacy, of course.
Yeah, kicking the African people out, you know, not letting them cross the border or whatnot. But please, yes, let's pray for Ukraine. Yeah. so yeah, you know, as long as we can come to an understanding that, you know, our issues are centralized to one group. Yep. You know, and we are going to work collectively towards ending that oppression.
Yes, sir.
Then yeah, we let's do business.
Amen. All right. So if you missed the beginning of the show, you're listening to the How to Build a Black Nation with Power podcast, where we seek to understand and bring together the many pieces of our empowerment and freedom puzzle, understanding under one unified umbrella as much as possible, to ensure we don't become a permanent underclass in the country that was built on the backs of our ancestors, taking into consideration what our people have done and what so many are currently doing, like these 2 brothers here, Our empowerment and freedom march is most certainly not starting at square one. Tonight's episode is our 19th episode, and our guests are candidates in the Black Gold Nation's national leadership election, which takes place online Friday, August 25th to Sunday, August 28th of this year. Brother Lenairis Turner, the brother in the light blue shirt, is a candidate for our National Community Development Division, and Brother Michael Brown is a candidate for our National Political Strategy and Implementation Division. Brother Mike, real quick, have you by any chance ever heard, have you ever seen any of our episodes, the Revolutionary Code, myself, Brother Craig? I'm interviewing him.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's going to, I'm going to send you a few specific episodes. Okay. But as I've said to you before, it's going to be very important that you understand where he's coming from, because he's our national consultant on that political level, because he does a tremendously phenomenal effort. I mean, a tremendously phenomenal job of connecting the dots. So, and that's why we want to support him as much as we are able, as he seeks to do in Shreveport what we want to do in Black cities nationwide. So I'm glad that you've seen some of the shows, because again, the brother's phenomenal. All right, the next question is for both of you. I want Brother Lenairis to go first, and then you, Brother Mike. Next question. As it would do Black Gold Nation no good to work to prepare our adults for empowerment and freedom, and not simultaneously be working on the same thing for our youth. How will you, Brother Lenairis first, Brother Mike second, how will you bring the youth along in your area of expertise to take the place of adults when the time is right? Brother Lenairis, you first, then Brother Mike.
Well, let me say this, man. It's over for this system. I'm gonna say that first. It's over for this system. This system cannot supervise over our youth. They can't manage our youth. They don't have any jobs for our youth. Mm-hmm. So when I say it's over for this system, what that means to me is this. The younger generation has no idea that their diet is killing them. They have no idea that it's impeding their ability to think properly. They don't know that. They have nobody that's getting out especially in the South, man. You ain't nobody in the South having a call to worship at the park for the young men and saying, look, we're gonna go out here and do some calisthenics. And when you come out here, I'm gonna pay you in this cryptocurrency, because don't nobody seem to get this part. I'm gonna pay you in this so that you can have something to actually look forward to. You can still pay your bills with this, but what I'm doing for you, I'm taking you out of a system that is not benefiting you. It's not benefiting you.
Never has.
Never, they don't know it. They don't know it. In the moment that we're living in, to give them a history right now, it doesn't work, because they don't have time, because they still got to take care of themselves. And so right now, man, to the way that I am affecting these youth is by creating crypto adoption challenges that brings the youth out. They're not working, man. These guys ain't. I went to the park a couple of weeks ago at 5 o'clock. The young men, the park was full of young Black males that are of working age, doing nothing but playing basketball. Like that dream, they don't even know that dream is over. Like that dream is over right now, considering what is happening, and nobody's talking to them about that. But more importantly, the elected officials and people in the community that swear that they care about these young men, they don't even know that. That's what they say.
That's what they say.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
And so with that said, man, I put it this way, man. No matter how it goes, my work is being done. Black Gold Nation is important right now, because through a connection with a opportunity to put money in pockets of youth right now who are hurting. Mm-hmm. Black Gold Nation puts themselves in a position to step in and be a new employer.
Yeah.
Period, dude.
That's right.
So I'm gonna start writing down your questions the next time, because my mind look like your beard. You just can't see
it. All right, Brother Mike, your answer to the question. You need me to repeat it, or you got it?
Efforts to bring the youth along in your area of expertise.
Yeah.
Critically important.
Got to have it, brother. Got to have it.
Gotta have it. And I agree that this system is crumbling. However, it's still being propped up.
Yeah,
it's still being propped up. So unfortunately, we're in this system. For us to get the political change that we need, we're gonna have to learn the system and play the system.
Sure.
Hold on.
And
Can I
figure out ways
Mike?
to get around it.
Can I ask you a question, Mike?
Yes, sir.
You say that the system is still propped up. Let me say this. Let me ask you this. What if it's intended for us to bring it down?
As long as we get the resources we need. There are days where I'm like, man, I just want the whole system to burn. I'm gonna be honest.
What if it only happens by us actively doing that? Meaning this. We immediately give people, the youth, our elders, people that's worked in corporations, we give them an immediate solution that allows for them to say, you know what, I'm walking away from that job. If it's a job that, let's just say it's a job that's only paying you $45 a year. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. And if you are a pillar of change in your community, I can show you how you could take a decentralized setup and begin to, first and foremost, insulate yourself from the continued, let's just look at inflation. Inflation is going up because of how many dollars is in the environment. The only way that you actually deal with inflation correctly or properly is by hedging against what that is. And when you hedge, that means that you're ridding yourself of US dollars. All right. So if we are a community that has 1.7 trillion of spending power, when Bitcoin, when the cryptocurrency market cap was at 1.7, one Bitcoin was at 35K. The biggest reason why what is going on today is they're not teaching or showing Black people how freeing this situation is for them. I talk to people on a daily basis, man, and Black business owners who sell crystals, who sell holistic packages, the things that we need to heal ourselves from the years of eating incorrectly, the years of having the improper knowledge of self, the improper knowledge of just history in general. I talk to them, and the first thing they say when I ask them if I can purchase their products with crypto is, I don't mess with that. I'm not interested in that. But you literally are taking the dollar and then turning around and complaining about rates going up, not realizing that the way that you kill inflation is by getting rid of dollars in the environment anyway. So when you understand, and then if you say that you're a metaphysical being, then why don't you understand the metaphysics in something that is unseen and it has materialized into something where everybody's talking about it, but because you was late, now you wanna hate on the technology because you're trying to trade your way into what white people can do, when we're supposed to be actively picking ourselves up by our encrypted bootstraps today, but we don't even know that that's where the bootstraps are at.
Let me ask you a question, Lenairis.
Yes, sir.
Do you think this system is working for anybody?
Not the current system. Nah.
So no one is winning in the current system.
So even the people that's sitting at the top, they're actually losing because they're still giving their own progeny the illusion that this is going to continue to stay.
I got you. Okay. All right. I got you. So it goes back to, because I agree with both of you. I agree that the system is on its way out. It's not on its way out yet. It's crumbling and it is being propped up when all those the too big to fail businesses and they were given money so that they would not fail. That was the propping up. So again, we have to be simultaneous and multidimensional in our efforts to move forward. We have to understand where the system does have gaping holes and there are weaknesses, but we have to also understand simultaneously that there is opportunity in chaos. There's opportunity in the old going out and the new coming in. There's opportunity on what's on the horizon if we realize what it's going to be once the horizon gets here. So again, as Black people, not really thinking about how anybody else does anything, we have to operate simultaneously on multiple levels and multiple dimensions, both in the current, the old, the crumbling, and what's coming. So I would have to say that I agree with both you brothers. And again, it goes back to Black people having to operate.
Hold on, Tamana, let me say this. Let me ask you this.
All right, come on.
If unemployment, if they're telling you that unemployment, the unemployment numbers are a farce. But if they're telling you that unemployment is, let's just say they're saying it's 3.5%, they're telling you that it's coming down. And you begin to understand the metrics that they use in order to figure out what unemployment is. Like if a person stops filing their unemployment claims, they're not going to be counted any longer in terms of those unemployment numbers. Yeah. If they have a part-time job, they're not being seen as unemployed.
Sure.
Now, in the Black community, those numbers are drastically different. The system has been failed us. What I'm saying is that so they prop up a system that falls on your head, period, because you don't know what's going on. So if you realize that the system has already crumbled, meaning this, the US dollar isn't being used in China, it's not being used in Russia. Sure. You're talking about the BRICS organizations, the BRICS committee, Brazil, Russia, and the other three that's a part of the acronym. Yeah. You know? These individuals are doing bilateral agreements or trade without the US dollar. The petrodollar is already, man, it's already demised. You got the Saudis sending oil to China and Russia right now. What I'm saying to us is that the propping up that we see is an illusion. That's what I'm saying. To hear them say they're doing quantitative easing and it never stopped. To hear them talk about, to understand what a repo, a reverse, what is this called? A reverse loan, basically, that the Fed is giving to banks and they turn around and pay it back in the morning. This is an illusion. And so the system crumbled in 2020. And when we say that, when Brother Brown says that our elders are stuck on the tube, they're already indoctrinated and their attention is stuck where it's stuck at, what I'm saying is that we actually have the resources right now. We have the resources right now to be able to take their attention away and begin to give a narrative that has more to do with the truth in the direction that they need to be walking in and operating in, even if they have sold out. We're talking to all our brothers and sisters, the ones that's the gay community. We're talking to them. We're talking to the ones who really wouldn't be in the leadership role, because guess what? We all have been a product of the psychosis of acculturation. We all have been a part of it.
I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but the whole, depending on your perspective,
let y'all know.
All of it is an illusion. Money is not even real. It's what we believe and how we react. So, you know, we Black people, we have to redefine how we define life, currency, value. All this stuff has to be redefined. But that's most certainly another conversation. So let me get through these last 4 or 5 questions so I can let you brothers go. The next question is also a group question. The Black Nations election, and Brother Lenairis, I want you to go first, then Brother Mike. The election is the last weekend in August. Ideally, if you brothers win, you're going to have 5 to 7 people who are part of your cabinet who speak your language about your area, community development, politics. What is going to be your initial marching orders, your 1, 2, 3 first things that you want your cabinet to do to continue moving forward in your given area? So Brother Lenairis, first, what are you going to tell your cabinet to do? 1, 2, 3 steps, and then Brother Mike.
Oh man, first I'm gonna tell them that I need you to sit down and understand adoption. Adoption looks like this. You do this here, then you turn around and you give your family and friends the adoption program. Then after that, we literally boycott the stock market and we boycott the US dollar after that. And then from there, we walk with a presidential leadership, not just for me, every individual that sees themselves as an individual of change today. You're going to go out and you're going to walk in the same leadership mindset that I have given you, period. That's what you're about to do. And if you can't understand those marching orders, considering that right now in my city, on the west side of my city, the gentrification process is extremely, it's been running rampant. It's been there. And so when we talk about being able to keep people in their homes, and I'm saying that there's an economic solution literally for that, and you got people who they're not brain dead, they're just so stuck on the way that the system is today, they need somebody that they can trust. So the first marching orders is to ensure that we can push out, and like Mike Brown said, you got to start with your family. So we push through our families first, make sure that they understand the importance of this moment. And you go ahead and start preparing your individual home, your immediate home. And then we take that same message that has come through me to them to be able to speak to the people that they care about how they can take care of their immediate economic issue. And that's the first marching orders for me.
Okay, cool. Brother Mike?
Yes, sir. I think a similar approach. The first thing is we're gonna have to make sure that we have a solid political education ourselves.
Amen.
Within the cabinet and execute a plan, focus on education. So developing a PowerPoint or a recorded Zoom meeting,
sure,
something that we can disperse out on social media, and go out in the communities and say, hey, this is the foundation that they didn't give you in school,
right?
So you can understand that. And I think you guys had touched on it early in the conversation. We are too emotional on things that require logic, right? Sure. We need to be able to say, okay, take the emotion out of it. Right. Let's sit down and actually work on this.
That's right.
Even within the reparation space, we're human nature. People react to stuff emotionally instead of sitting down and say, okay, how is this generally affecting me? And so we have to have a foundation built on education.
Okay.
And then applied knowledge. Once we give you that knowledge, okay, what are you going to do with that knowledge?
Okay.
Let's work out some game plans of how we apply this knowledge at the voting booth, or even before going to the voting booth. If we're going to be raising candidates, making sure that they have the agenda in place, and they're going to carry that agenda through local, state, federal government.
So the first thing you're gonna have your cabinet do is develop an educational platform or program to get the people educated.
Right. We have to get them educated. Because,
I can dig it.
Once we get candidates in place that can affect change for our community, we gotta have the community say they gotta know that they have to vote a certain way to get the results that they want to get.
So stop right there, because I think where you about to go. Give me the answer to the next question. So the next question is, and I'm glad you're going there, because the next question is right in line with what you're about to say. The next question is, okay, so we have the election in August. We have our inauguration, everybody coming together in Houston in October. So when we leave, the last Sunday in October, we're leaving Houston, Texas, going back to where we live. Ideally, you brothers are going to have 15 to 20 teams of Black people going back to wherever they came from, with one representative saying, I want to help politics in my city. I want to help community development in my city. Next question, Brother Mike, you first, because you were already going there, then Brother Lenairis. I got your first marching orders for your cabinet, your national team of leadership in politics. What's going to be your first marching orders for the local representative in these 15 to 20 different cities per the overall candidate strategy to move Black people forward politically?
Well, we've got to get a number of we've got a number of people that don't vote, right?
Amen.
It's only about 19-20% that's voting in these elections, whether that be local, state,
and that might be high.
And that's on the high end, right?
Yes, sir.
And so we've got an opportunity to capture people that don't vote because they're disenfranchised.
Yes, sir. It's an opportunity, man.
They don't vote because of various reasons. They don't vote because they're surviving, right? Lenairis had kind of talked about that. They said that they're too busy surviving to pay attention to some of the stuff that ultimately affects them, right? Sir. And so we've got to capture those folks, and so we've got to have clear metrics of, okay, how many folks are you going to capture per month that you're going to have educated, that they may or may not already be registered to vote. If they're not registered to vote, get them registered to vote. If they are registered to vote, we need to keep them engaged.
That's right.
Keep them focusing on what our agenda is, what we're trying to execute.
Okay.
So we need to have clear metrics that we're growing this database.
That's right.
Of engaged Black voters. And then we need to see, okay, what candidates are coming down the pipeline that we can talk to about our agenda. And if they're not accepting our agenda, cool. We're gonna raise our own candidates,
That's right?
Yeah. But I don't want them voting just to be voting, right? Sure. I want them voting with a purpose.
Right.
Because elections
some applied knowledge, right?
Yes. Forget what your parents, grandparents, or whatever, thought about voting. Forget the propaganda that, your ancestors died for the right to vote. That's not actually not a true statement at all. They died for empowerment. They wanted equal treatment.
Sure.
That they deserve. Right. They wanted to be able to go out the house and not worry about getting lynched.
Yeah, they deserved and earned.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so they need to be voting with a purpose. Elections are transactional. They're not an emotional reaction.
Right.
Because as we see, Black people ran out to get one person out of office. They put another person in office that's just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah.
But just because they got an R and a D next to the name, we got to get out of that. We got to get out of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Too much emotional. Yes, sir.
Too much emotion.
Amen. So. Cool. Okay. Brother Lenairis, you got a team of 15 to 20 Black people nationwide who are waiting on you to let them know what they should be doing in community development. What are you going to tell them?
I'm about to tell them, man. It's time for y'all to change the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody keep talking about this voting, and I'm hearing this, and I'm looking at this question, and it's a hypothetical, because I didn't realize the soldiers that was given already, but see, when I hear that we have the opportunity to go into homes of people who already done walked away from the voting process, we are literally talking about people who probably don't even know who it is that's on the ballot, period.
Yeah.
We're talking about people who could care less about a vote because the reality of their vote doesn't change anything in their life immediately, period. So when I began to question, what is the whole purpose of this voting? Like, what are we voting for? Who are we voting for? If we are saying that we are a national organization, if we are saying we are an international organization, then what does that mean about the leaders in this organization? To me, it sounds like that makes us national leaders. To me, it sounds like it makes us international leaders. And if that is the case, then to vote, to place a vote for anything that is in opposite, that has nothing to do with what we need right now, is a wasted vote. But educating, the education. See, the need for political education is of extreme importance in an environment where the economy is changing, because the people don't really realize how much, the people don't understand that the chairman of the Federal Reserve really is the one that's wielding the power behind these legislations that's being implemented. They don't get that. They don't get the politics, or they don't get the economics of legislation. They don't get the economics of legislation. Legislation isn't being passed that isn't met with some type of dollar amount. And so when we begin to see that, our elected officials are being a mouthpiece, they're being a mouthpiece, a mediator, a medium between us and the elites.
Yeah.
We don't get that part, and we never even get to have that conversation with these elites. To me, it sounds like we have to begin to take on the responsibility of being a nation, but not a nation within a nation, because the nation that has oppressed us this entire time, it is morally fallen, it is socially fallen. And so when you have a group of people that are up under you who need to have the same knowledge that you have, the education is important. So this isn't a question for me. That's not a question for me, because I don't have that role. And for me, like in the military, they say, man, we could do shoulda, coulda, wouldas all day. Playing in the hypothetical realm is hard for me because I know the tangible reality of something that is encrypted that you can't see, and you can make that become a real thing for people. You can do that. And so personally, man, I feel like it's time to we need to completely overhaul the voting system, period. And we could be the ones to actually implement how that could look. Look at here, you can incentivize the people to adopt cryptocurrency through the auspice or the subterfuge or the mechanism of cryptocurrency and blockchain adoption, and show them how you can vote on the blockchain. And when you make your vote, you don't got to worry about it being tampered with. You don't got to worry about what is this called? When they try to stop you from voting, whatever that's called. You don't have to worry about
suppression.
You don't have to worry about none of that now.
Yeah.
And then in the same breath, now you're taking people who's sitting around that's retired. Now you're giving them a new activity. You're giving them a new skill to learn. You're putting their brain back to work. You know, our people are super sick. They're super sick. They need something that gives them something new to do anyway.
Okay, so Brother Lenairis, you win the election. You're over the National Community Development Division. You and your cabinet have met. You guys got some ideas, some strategy that you want to implement. You got individuals around the country who said, I want to represent your area in my city. What do you want me to do, Brother Lenairis? What are you going to tell these people? Because the question is very relevant, because you are part of the national leadership team in this area. So when they ask you, Brother Lenairis, what do you want me to do? What are you going to tell them?
Well, hopefully they've been going to the website before I win.
We hope.
Hopefully hopefully I already built it out like I thought Obama would have built out an entire manifesto for being the first African-American president, but you didn't even have an entire manifesto for the entirety of this nation. Not to get into why he was who he was, but to say, hey man, that is a very important position that you just got, and you telling me that you didn't have a rubric. You didn't have a manual that you can pass out to all Americans that outline what this dream is. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is that my people should already know. I mean, I'm not building what I'm building for nothing. If I was to win that position, and then they want to go and do what it is they want to duplicate, they're going to duplicate what I've already been showing them to do. Hopefully they've already been doing it. Okay. Hopefully they already believed in what I'm doing because they see the fruit on my label, and they see that it's a need for what I'm doing in their city, because it is.
I can dig that. Next question for you, Brother Lenairis. Why should someone vote for you?
I couldn't tell you that, man.
Give me something, brother.
I have nothing for you.
Nothing for me? All right. I can move on if you don't want to answer.
I mean, the people should vote for me because they see that I am who I am. I am. Look, man, I don't have a background for this. I don't. The only thing that puts me in a role to be a voice for people is the upbringing that I have had, and the fact that I've been around the people who have insulated themselves from the reality of this society and how it's really affecting you your entire life because of your religious indoctrination. So from that standpoint, I have an ability to speak to a people that's still stuck there. See, I'm the corporate everything, the corporate thug talk, that I don't care about none of that, because the thugs told me not to sell anything because you was gonna get up out of here and be the one that leads us out of this situation that we're in. So we need you to be the spiritual thug, if you want to call it that.
That's right. I can dig it.
That's what you do, man. Every time, man. Every single time.
Well, I'm listening. I'm agreeing with you. Go ahead.
I know, man. I just, you know, that's.
Hey, I dig it. Mean I concur.
Yeah, I know.
I'm agreeing with you.
Elder Jedi. I get it. I totally get it. But yeah, man. It's for me, man. It's like this right now, man. We are, like you said, like Brown said, man. This needs to be happening tomorrow. Like this needs to be happening now. Like the program that I'm putting together as we speak is everything that you're asking me about, to be honest with you. Everything that you're asking me about, what it is that I'm going to do, how people need to move, I'm already reaching out to individuals in other cities in North Carolina. So to duplicate exactly what I'm doing, because I know that I can't do this by myself.
Sure.
And Black Gold will not be able to grow like it needs to if everybody is looking at this as if they're individuals. Like if we're not at the same level when it comes to respecting the leadership quality that was given to us as when we were born, then we're not understanding something as it pertains to being leaders in an organization that has the ability to affect change for people that need that solution right now. And it's not just talk.
Cool. Brother Mike, watching someone vote for you?
Hopefully I've laid out a solid game plan in terms of how we move forward. I think a lot of times we complicate things unnecessarily, or we sit and debate those things ad nauseum, and instead of getting out and actually doing it, right? And trial by fire, getting out there and actually executing.
That's right.
I think one thing I've tried to do in this space, and I kind of referenced this graphic that I have, where you've got a bunch of people that talk about the issue, you've got another smaller group that's like, yeah, we need to do something, and then you've got the line, and I got like maybe 3 or 4 people that's actually like doing something, about the situation. Yeah. And I like to kind of fancy myself as the person in that third group. Okay. I don't want to talk about anything. I need to like actually get the action, because we are so far behind. Yeah. In all areas of activity, and we're getting outmaneuvered by people that are quote unquote minorities.
Yes, sir.
And we're getting outmaneuvered by them. And we've been in this country the longest, if you really, if we really, talking about it. And we should be enjoying the fruits of our ancestors' labor.
There you go.
And because they didn't get to enjoy, right? Yeah. And we're not. And so I don't want to come off as, throwing away groups, like the elder group or whatnot. Mm-hmm. We pick up people along the way with our messaging. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Some people are not going to come on our journey. And I understand that, and that goes across all age spectrums, for various reasons. But we get enough, we mobilize them, we execute the plan, and we will win.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is also for you, Brother Mike. Why should someone not vote for you?
Don't vote for me if you don't want to work.
That's funny you was gonna say that, because I'm in that small percentage group.
But brother, you definitely boots on the ground, like in terms of work. Yeah. You are definitely in group number 3. But if you're in group number 1, I'm sorry, we don't have like a lot of room for you. You know what I'm saying? Okay. We don't have a lot of room for you on the train. So
gotcha. You see us passing by. All right, Brother Lenairis, why should someone not vote for you, brother?
Well, because if you think that my name gonna be on the ballot, a traditional ballot, then you ain't gonna find a vote for me. You ain't gonna even find a way to actually vote for me. So if you ain't coming on the blockchain to vote, then it is what it is, man. I don't need you in that traditional currency. It's over for it.
Cool. Okay, before we get out of here, Brother Michael, you want to say anything about the reparations organization that you co-founded, or you co-chair? Which one, or both?
So I'm a founding member.
Okay, go ahead.
National Association of American Slavery Descendants. We actually have our inaugural conference in Atlanta. Actually, the last last week in October. So
okay.
we'll have to
yeah
talk about some dates there.
Yeah.
Because I may be out of town,
Okay.
but yeah, we're gonna have our inaugural conference. We're asking all other reparations organizations to join us.
How many of them are there?
Man.
More than 10?
Yeah.
Oh, more than 20?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. And so we're paying homage to the 1972. It's been 50 years since 1972. Black convention that happened. I believe it was in Gary, Indiana.
Gary, Indiana. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so kind of in that spirit of after everything that went on with the civil rights movement and our leaders being hunted down and killed by the government, right. Kind of coming together to say, okay, what's our next step? What's our political agenda? Can we get together and coalesce around a central messaging and then go out and execute? Yeah. And so it's going to be a 2-day conference. We're going to learn a lot from each other. Yeah. Kind of the basics of how politics works. Mm-hmm. Setting up meetings. Executing on the ground strategy, all of that. And so
awesome.
I encourage everybody, if you want to attend, I can send you that information, but definitely we're looking to kind of come together now. Like sure. We've got all these different groups kind of doing everything. We want to learn what we're doing, mm-hmm. Refine it, and then go out and execute.
Have you guys already put out the invite to other groups? And if you have, what's the reception been like?
I mean, the reception's been pretty good so far.
Okay.
We've got a flyer, we've got an invitation now. So if you guys will be in the Atlanta area last weekend in October, mm-hmm. Then definitely come through and come build with us.
Cool. Amen. Okay, Brother Lenairis, I know you're obviously heavily into cryptocurrency and blockchain and those technologies. Is there anything you want to add about those two things or anything along that line before we get out of here?
Actually, man, I wanted to actually, Mike, man, so reparations is one of the main reasons why I got into blockchain. That's the biggest reason why I got into blockchain development. My initial blockchain business is crypto reparatio for that particular reason, and because I see the dilemma that this nation is having economically, because I see it and I understand where the transition of power is going economically. It makes it hard for me to digest the reality or the notion that we can receive a reparations at this stage, considering that they know we deserve it, considering that you've been paying money to Israel for as long as you have been. Mm-hmm. You just gave 2 stimuluses to Ukraine. That's what you've done, and you didn't even have to ask us for a vote or a signature of any sort. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so when I see this and I begin to realize that no matter how it goes on a daily basis, the economy is going to continue to collapse as long as they are printing currency. Then when you look at Bob Johnson saying that the number is that we deserve in reparations is around 14.7 trillion when you look at that, and then you look at the fact that what we're talking about is not even money, it's currency. It ain't valued in nothing. It has no value. They ain't got it back by nothing. The question then becomes, when it comes to reparations, should we actually be seeking today? Should we be seeking a financial reprieve, or should we be pushing a constitutional change that allows for us as a people to independently, I guess you want to say, have the time to protect ourselves from what is going on, due to the fact that the dollar is dead. If it's dead, then when we're asking for what we deserve, are we saying you should just hand us that over when people are buying up America anyway? You know what I'm saying? Like nations, the Chinese is buying up America, Bill Gates is buying up America, Hereafter Farms through the Nation of Islam, they're buying up America. You know what I mean? So if people are already taking ownership of the land, and you can't just give somebody else's land away after they bought it dirt cheap because your economy has fallen, the question then becomes, what is the true reparation for us today? What really is it?
Well, I'll say, yes, we should be asking for both. We should be asking for everything. I'll quote this person. This person is not my favorite person at this particular time, but they had a really powerful quote, and they said that anything less than the whole of America is a discount, is what is owed. And so, from what you're saying about the dollar collapsing and whatnot, hasn't collapsed yet. There's a devaluing going on, yes, certainly, and we need to keep an eye on that. But at the end of the day, in this country, cash rules everything around it. And so, yes, there should be a financial compensation given to us because those people that are buying up America, they're not doing it with any other currency. They're doing it with cash.
Not true. Not true.
That's the ability to protect ourselves is absolutely critical. I think Tamani opened up saying that we can have a nation within a nation. Obviously, that will consist of us relocating into central parts of whatever part of America we want to move to. I think right now, logistically speaking, it will be the South because that's where the bulk of our people are at.
That's where we at.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And so, for political power, economic power, there has to be a relocation of our people to the South.
And I think, Brother Mike, I think that relocation is going to happen anyway, naturally, as we realize that it's going to be too difficult to exist in the other spaces, and we're already in the South.
Right. But it's already happening.
And it's already happening. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to the extent that the dollar is still flowing and the dollar is still the dominant currency currently, absolutely.
So how do you feel
again,
about
we were the currency,
right?
And they were exchanging
us.
Exchanging us.
So how do you feel about cryptocurrency, Mike?
I don't have a negative view of it. I'm in the cryptocurrency space currently. I don't have a negative view of it. I think if we're using that as a vehicle to pay reparations, I think that involves a deeper discussion and investigation as to how we would actually execute that securely. And kind of to your point, yes, we can kind of remove ourselves from the system, but realize that the politicians that are in office now are looking to regulate. The Fed is looking to regulate cryptocurrency. So we've got to have representation in Congress to look out for that and counteract that, anything that's going to be negative, if that's the path that we choose to take, right? And so, yes, ideally, we would like to not have to deal with that system. But if you look at any other country on the planet, they have some type of government system set up to provide resources to their people. And so the problem is we've got politicians in office, that shall remain nameless, that are not looking out for our people's best interest. They're looking out for their own best interest. And so we've got to get away from that selfish mentality into a community mentality. Obviously we need to be in all of these spaces, and politics is one of these spaces.
That's right. Yeah, and we gotta have representatives who will look out for us in these spaces. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Last question, final question, Brother Lenairis, then Brother Mike, close it out. Lenairis, you first. If you could give everyone who is watching live, those who watch the recording, if you could give them one takeaway from everything we've discussed tonight that they will have with them for the rest of their lives, one takeaway from everything we've discussed, what would that one takeaway be?
This is the most historic moment in the lives of melanated people since honestly the so-called emancipation, the quasi-emancipation that we went through. the education that we have not received and the lack of financial opportunity to control any means of production here has put us in a very disadvantaged position. But at this moment, we are experiencing the most historic moment. And if we don't understand the need for political education, if we don't understand the need to stand up, all of us, even those who just want to follow because it's trendy to do it, we will find ourselves repeating a history that we don't think that we could actually return to. That's it. That's the one takeaway I'm gonna give you.
Amen. I can dig it. Brother Mike?
Got another quote.
Quotes are good.
fellow reparationist. I do like this brother, but the quote is government is the game, politics is how it's played.
There you go. There you go.
Any one of these, self-proclaimed pull myself up by the bootstraps person, they've had some type of support.
Yes, sir. Every last one of them. Every last one of them.
Yeah. At any level, and typically for these big conglomerate corporations that we're talking about now, they've had some type of government uplift.
Corporate welfare.
Corporate welfare, government welfare that allowed them to be in the position they're in now, right? And so what we're asking is, as a community, we're ready for our uplift. It's over 400, close to 500 years overdue, okay? So we've got to position ourselves ideally to make this a reality. And this is probably the greatest push on a reparation side that we've had since Cali House, right? And so, I may be over speaking, but that's probably the greatest push right now. And so we need to keep this momentum going. We need to keep all ideas on the table. In terms of how we get this done, and certainly, I'm looking forward to working with you brothers on this issue.
Cool, amen. So on that note, I again thank you, brothers, for finally finding the time, because I know both of you guys are busy, to be a part of the conversation, and I most certainly thank you, brothers, for being willing to being a candidate in the election. What we're trying to do, of course, is find qualified Black people in specific and key areas by which we are losing. And unfortunately for us, that's every element of life, every category of life and community development we are behind on. And although we know that we're behind, not because of 100% something that we did, but of course there was assistance in making sure that we were going to be behind. And when some of us had the audacity and nerve to try and get ahead, we were destroyed on purpose. So we have to understand that the only way this is going to work is if we find people who know what they're doing. And of course, we can't afford just to find one Lenairis Turner, because if there's only one, guess what they're going to do to him? We can't afford to have one Michael Brown, because if there's only one, guess what they're going to do to him? So it's imperative that we have national leadership with cabinets, and that national leadership with that cabinet has to have national representation on a local level. This thing is wide open. Anything we want, we can have. We just got to mobilize and organize. And like Brother Mike said, put in the work. If you put in the work, then we can make some things happen. And like Brother Lenairis said, you got to have a proper education to understand how the work is supposed to look. And then we got to have the metrics to understand, okay, how this thing is supposed to look as we are building what we're trying to build. Everything we need, we already have. There's a Black person out here somewhere doing something that we need to survive and build. They're just doing it for somebody else. So we have to find those persons, bring them under one unified umbrella, and then work collectively to educate our youth to take that person's place, and we continue to move forward. So this thing, again, I believe it's wide open. I think we can most certainly put ourselves in a position to run cities. And if we're running cities that are already predominantly Black, and those cities are connected with the same strategy, the same program, the same tenets, the same spiritual system, the same political strategy, the same agricultural system, then that by default becomes a nation within a nation. And we can do it if we have the right people that are focused on helping us do it. So on that note, I want to again thank you, brothers, for taking time out of your schedule. I know today is it's a holiday that a lot of people celebrate. You know, some people are off, you know, so hey man, I'm like you, brother Mike. I'm off, so I'm gonna do something revolutionary. So I'm gonna use time to do something, you know, that I would not be able to do because I'm normally at work. So you know, perspective matters. So again, thank you, brothers. I appreciate you, brothers. Have love and respect for both of you. And I think anything we want, we can have, as long as we have people like you that are willing to work to go get it. And I know you brothers are of that lot. So I like to end my presentations and meetings with two things. Always remember that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely, always remember that nothing is more sacred. Not me, not you, your kids, your family, my family. Nothing is more sacred than the empowerment and freedom of Black people, because if Black people don't make it, I'm not gonna make it, you're not gonna make it, our kids nor our families. But if we put the group first, we put the tribe first, and we put the nation first, then the nation will have enough power to protect everyone that we care about, and we can move forward into the sunlight and get back to who and what we're supposed to be. I believe the world is out of balance because we're out of balance. We need to get ourselves back in balance so we can bring everybody else into balance. So on that note, thank you, brothers, very much. God bless. I'll be in touch. Y'all have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace.